Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome into Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. It is Saturday, October 3rd, 2020 in the beautiful city of Chicago, and we have some things we need to talk about, friends. Before we get to today's show, let's go ahead and take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike and Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media, and you can be interactive with the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast. We're available on all major platforms, guys. Check us out at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. There you can hear interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag as well, guys, at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. We do live videos there, so check out our sports picks every Thursday as we make our NFL confidence picks. That's youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network and on Facebook.com/Mercado Airwaves. Play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves, and be interactive with the network on Twitter. See what we're up to all over the podcast network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves.
At second, now there are two outs, and Jason Tipnis.
Yeah, the bottom feeders trying to advance. 2-2. Kinsler deals.
Swing and a miss. Got him, and it's over. And the Marlins are headed to the division series as they beat the Cubs. 2-0 the final here, and they advance to the DS.
A 2-0 win at Wrigley Field this afternoon and a sweep.
2 outs in the ninth inning and a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Hendricks trying to dig deep. Here's his 2-2. Mazzara takes strike 3 called. And a win, a long time coming for the A's franchise. Bob Melvin and his team earned this one. What a win today, and what a series win for the Oakland Athletics.
And with that, Chicago baseball is over in the postseason. The season has finished for both the Northsiders and the Southsiders, but we have different emotions for both games, from both teams, from both ways of looking at it when it comes to these Chicago teams. And before we go too forward, and I try not to lose my mind, I want to just give a shout out to the Chicago White Sox for having a wonderful season, for being exciting, and for having a really great series. Things didn't go their way. A call here, a call there. Ricky Renteria maybe making a few mistakes. Some interesting decisions on the plate. There's a lot of different things that could have gone differently in that series for the White Sox and the A's. But there's nothing to be disappointed about other than you wish you could have seen them play a little bit longer. You wish you could have seen them get to the bubble. But these are the playoffs. Baseball with baseball, a 3-game series. It's hard to tell who the better team is. The White Sox are one of the most exciting teams in baseball moving forward. A move here, a move there, a little bit more experience. Heck, if you're able to get a certain type of leadership, I'm down with Ricky. I loved Ricky when he was with the Cubs. Sometimes it takes a different type of person to get you to point A that now needs to take you to point C for a championship. And I don't know if that's Ricky, but that's a conversation we'll have it later. When it comes to this season, you got to give a shout out to that team. They showed up. They were always interested. And even when they were making mistakes, they always found a way to kind of bounce back. And they made you believe. I would have loved to have seen this team make a true run. Not only for business, not only for that team for being fun, but for White Sox fans. They did earn it this season, and it sucks they couldn't see that team in their home stadium. And now this falls on the White Sox fans. You better show up. You better support this team. You better be all about them. They deserve it. They've earned it. I would love for them to get another few arms in that rotation, and I would just like for that defense to shore up just a little bit more, but all the pieces are right there. And if you're able to do some type of Joe Madden move and get this experienced manager who also is on the cusp of winning a World Series at certain points, why not? Show up and enjoy it. And for the White Sox fans, like, I get it for the back and forth and the fun of it. But for those of you who are looking beyond that and just kind of taking joy in other things, like let's say in the Cubs being eliminated, but they're going to get theirs in just a little bit, don't worry about any other team. You guys are A-okay. As a Sox fan base, have fun, enjoy it. It stings a little bit, but man, are you guys in a good direction. Just look forward for the offseason. Look forward to being a team that has the opportunity to make moves that make you closer to winning a championship. This is a great time. It's always the best time to be on the roller coaster on your way up. And that's what's happening right now, opposed to the other side. So enjoy it. Shout out to the White Sox. Fun series. It went the other way, but the White Sox will be there for a long time. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know, White Sox fans, how do you feel about the end of your season? On Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media, and of course you can follow the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. And they got me flustered, guys, but let's talk about it. The Chicago Cubs getting swept by the Miami Marlins, by the freaking Marlins. This one stings a little bit for me because in 2003 I was 13. But what really is frustrating is the tease at the end of the season. Look, I don't know if Chris Bryant's been right all season. I don't. I'm not going to judge anybody for their mental not being there during COVID-19, during the pandemic, during these social times that we're all living at. It's just total unrest on top of having to deal with the contract, on top of dealing with having a newborn child. I don't know what the man is going through, but this isn't just an isolated situation right now. This is something that's been happening. I got a few tweets that I want to check out really fast, and this is from Matt Spiegel, one of the awesome baseball lovers at 670 The Score. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Spiegel 670. Baez, Bryant, and Rizzo in the postseason since 2016. So this is since 2016, 19 for 141. That's a .134 batting average, 51 strikeouts, and only 6 walks between the three. 19 for 141. Batting .134. 51 Ks, 6 walks. That's Baez, Bryant, and Rizzo. The same guys that help you win a World Series. There's an MVP in that list. There's an MVP candidate on that list. That's how you don't win. That's how you get eliminated from an NLCS, from an NLDS, from a wild card game, from a wild card series, from missing the playoffs completely. In this series, Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, 0 for 16 with 5 Ks. Like, I understand, like, I'm not judging them that they're horrible players, that they don't belong there. These are just the numbers, the facts of what happened in this series. They didn't show up. The bats haven't shown up. This was a sub 500 team after the first, 20 games of this pandemic season? If it wasn't for the fact that they came out of the gates on fire, which shout out to them, they did that. This would be a team that nobody would have any hopes for. This would be like the third best team in the NL Central. And how about that? 4 NL Central teams, all of them get eliminated in the first round. The one nice thing about the Cardinals, and this is no offense to Cardinals fans, but like at least only one of the 2 COVID kings of 2020 when it comes to sports didn't make the next round. Miami, I don't have as much ill will. Well, actually, I take that back. I have more ill will towards Miami than I do St. Louis because they decided to vote on it. But, that's a personal thing. It, again, a little bit stings a little bit more being a Cub fan against the Marlins scene that happened. But objectively speaking, they showed up. A great pitching performance in Game 2. Yu Darvish, amazing this year. They couldn't pick up Kyle Hendricks. He had a rough inning in that game, and you have David Ross who goes with him, who rides with this guy. I always find it, because I always get into this argument with friend of the show, Paul Shivari. Check out his work at Baseball Weekend Journal. We did a whole thing where some of our predictions have been wrong. It's just at least probably dangerous, but he makes fun of this because it was a dynasty. Like, people always talking about dynasty. And my counter to him is, yeah, they weren't a dynasty. I would still take everything that the Cubs have had when it comes to success over most teams in baseball. I mean, here's the ultimate, right? The Dodgers are the best team in baseball. They have the best jerseys. They have the best pitcher. They're always having the best system, the farm system, MVPs. Washington, Chicago, Houston, Boston all have World Series championships before they had. So, they're not a dynasty, but they've been successful. What's the reason why it's easy to make fun of them? The reason why it's frustrating is because they should have done more. But a bad pickup here, having to sign Cole Hamels there, not getting Justin Verlander, having to trade away Eloy Jimenez, not cashing in when Quintana was at his peak, it not working out. There were a lot of X factors. But here's the thing, this core did win. Maybe you hold on to it just a little bit too long. It's the argument for all you hockey fans out there. Did the Blackhawks hold on to that core for just a little too long? Probably. Most people hold on to their core just a little too long after they've won a championship. But if you're a Sox fan, as much enjoyment as you're having seeing this future, it's all about cashing in. And until you cash in, it's all just really enjoyment and seeing the come up. But when you're at the position where the Cubs have been in, or the Dodgers have been in, you have to win. When you're the Astros, you get to this point, it's about winning. It's about winning the championship. It's about making and winning a pennant. Now, with that being said, this team has to change. It is time. People have to move on. I think Chris Bryant will be an MVP candidate moving forward. I think he needs to do it in a different jersey. I don't want to get rid of him. I don't want to get rid of any of these guys. I wish this was MLB The Show and they were all ranked at 91 and everything was A-okay. But that's not how it is. These are real people. And maybe a change of scenery is due for some of them. Maybe some of them have a lot of miles under those tires, guys. There's been a lot of postseason ball. As much as they've been whooped on, they've played a lot of crazy games. And the NL Central over the last few years between the Cardinals and the Brewers and the Cubs and then the Reds every once in a while, it's a tough division. There's no cakewalk. So it's hit the other end of the roller coaster. You're on the dive down now. And I'm not saying this team is going to only win 60-something games. I don't think they're capable of doing that. What worries me moving forward with this Cubs, that they're going to do the old mantra of, we're not going to rebuild, we're going to retool. We're going to sign a free agent here and free agent there, and we're going to hope for the best. That's not how you have to win. You win by getting guys that you get in your farm system that you're able to control, and then you get some arms with them. And people talk about trading Schwarber and Baez and Bryant. What's the value? Where is the value right now? You're going to get the worst end of that trade always right now. 2 years ago, maybe not. Right now, that's what's going to happen. Again, this isn't MLB The Show. This isn't Yahoo Fantasy. So while I understand the sentiment, and I understand for most people it's not personal, it is just the game, knowing how this game goes. But they just don't get moved that way. Unless you're willing to understand you're not going to get the same haul back. And you're just trying to regroup everything. And then it comes into question, where's Theo's mind in all this? Because he's not going to be here after his contract's done. He's moving to something else. And this is probably going to be Jed Hoyer's team. So how does Jed feel about this? How much support is he going to get from the Ricketts? How much money are they going to get from Marquee? What is the plan moving post-COVID? Are people excited going back to Wrigley? These are all questions that have to be answered moving forward because that's how they're going to rebuild this roster. But I don't believe in this, you can't be good and you can't rebuild at the same time. Because look at the Dodgers. Now, it goes back to my argument. They haven't won the whole thing, but they're getting bites at it. Someday they're going to maybe get the whole thing. Maybe. I think it's probably this year. But until then, that's what you got to do to get to those moments. The Cubs did that. They cashed in. I want to see it again. And it might be a difficult process coming off of all this, but it can't be any worse than just having an inept offense, guys, period. An inept offense. It's not just broken. It's been inept since 16. Since that fall. After that game, after that champagne was popped and we celebrated in Chicago. I will never ever regret any of that as a fan. And then obviously as somebody in media, it was a great moment to be able to cover and whatnot. But then looking forward in a critical eye, they need to take a step back a little bit, and it's going to suck. But there's a lot of different ways to do it. But it's half the roster that people had such high hopes for have no value. So there's no other way to see this except for the one other frustrating point that is going to come from this. Most of these guys will be on the opening day lineup next season. That's what's going to be crazy too. We're all going to be talking about we have to make these moves here. They have to make these moves here. It's going to be a lot of the same team moving forward. So that's just my initial thoughts after the Cubs get swept by the Marlins in the NL wildcard round. I want to know your thoughts. We'll be talking about this over the next few weeks, over the next few months as more things start happening, and we'll have more news about next year's baseball season. Let me know your thoughts on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Here's something that just came down the wire. I'm reading this on Pro Football Talk from NBCSports.com. The positive tests keep coming in Tennessee. Adam Schefter of ESPN reports that 3 more members of the Titans organization have tested positive for COVID-19. 1 player and 2 other team personnel were positive in this round of testing. That brings the number of positive tested this week to 16 people. The 8 players have tested positive along with 8 other team personnel. The Titans facility has been closed since Tuesday, and the team's scheduled game against the Steelers for this Sunday has been rescheduled for Week 7. The continued positive tests may delay the reopening of the facility, as NFL Chief Medical Officer Alan Sills said Friday via Judy Batista of NFL Media that the league is, quote, going to want to see a period where we're convinced that there's no transmission before the Titans go back to work. So the news isn't getting any much better coming from Tennessee, and it's going to be interesting to see how the league works this out. It's lucky that nobody in Minnesota has tested positive, but this is the first time that the NFL is going to go through this. We already saw what happened in the MLB, what happens in the NBA, and, you know, this is, I find it funny in society, like how people are viewing this. Some people think that happened so soon. Some people think this happened later than they thought. I'm surprised that people are surprised about anything. I mean, we've known for so long that some people are taking this seriously. Some people aren't. Some people are getting sick as much as precautions they're taking, and some aren't. Like, this is a crazy scenario, and a lot of people, I think, haven't realized that it's only going to get worse. We're only in, week 4? We haven't hit cold and flu season. We haven't even seen what happens when all that mixed together in this world. You know, we all like to retroactively think about, were we sick in December? Were we sick in January? Did we get it back then? Oh, I don't know. We're actually going to live in it with the knowledge of COVID-19 into this flu season, into this winter season. And then you have the NFL already having this problem of having to find coaches, having to find players about not wearing your mask, not doing this, not doing that. Like, there's a lot of issues the NFL is going to have to go through. And, like, shout out to the NBA in the finals right now that they've gotten through it. We're going to crown an NBA Finals champion. And the MLB is about to get into their bubble. But the NFL's not going in a bubble. They're traveling. Some stadiums have fans. Like, it's going to be really interesting how the NFL responds to this scenario. And it's going to be interesting to see how players bounce back. Because this isn't in the middle of training camp, or what was this version of training camp. This isn't in the middle of the offseason. You're going to have to bounce back and play a National Football League game. And it's a virus that has hurt a lot of people's respiratory system. So just that alone, does that change the way a team looks at or attacks a certain week? Are they going to need time to condition? How are they conditioning? How are they staying, fit in the middle of a season? How does this affect scheduling moving forward? Again, I don't get paid to answer these questions. I'm sure they've thought of it on some level, but I just find it surprising that so many people didn't think that this was going to be an outcome. It was only a matter of time just because numbers told you it was a matter of time. So we'll see how they play it out, but it looks like the Steelers and the Tennessee for sure won't be playing this week, And nobody knows exactly when the Titans will be playing, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Let us know what you think about this entire story on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. And finally, before we head out for the weekend, the LA Lakers are 2 wins away from getting another NBA Finals championship as the Lakers beat the Heat 124-114, taking a 2-0 series lead. And, you know, it's unreal what Anthony Davis and LeBron James are doing. And unreal in the sense that anybody even doubted them, including myself. You know, this is a time where I have to say I have egg in my face. I picked the Bucks and the Clippers to make it to the finals. And now looking back, you're like, what an idiot to pick that finals. But here we are where LeBron's probably going to win another NBA championship. Anthony Davis going to get his first one. And the big thing I want to say about Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis did exactly what I said he needed to do. And not how to win a championship. But I've always said Anthony Davis was the one guy who could have been a superstar that just wasn't because of the playoff experience, that he was really close to doing that Kevin Garnett thing. And KG, one of the all-time greats, especially after winning a title, right? The NBA, it's all about championships. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why we judge it that way. I'm able to tell you if somebody's great without any type of NBA title accolades. But the way mainstream media and the way we historically put these guys, it's all about how many championships have you won. So now LeBron's going to win another one. And I hear this weird conversation between guys like Dan Patrick, who I love, obviously one of the guys who really are one of the reasons I'm in this business, looked up to, whatnot, and Nick Wright, one of the great analysts in the industry. And both of them are really spinning this narrative that everybody was doubting LeBron and everybody's going to shoot it down and nobody's going to give it any really validity that he wins this title. I'm like, you're making that narrative up. Everybody knows how great LeBron James is. The problem with LeBron James is you're comparing him to Ghost. You're comparing him to things that don't exist. He'll never be greater than MJ because anybody who thinks Michael Jordan is better than LeBron will always think that. And anybody who thinks LeBron is already better than Michael will always try to prove it. So I don't understand this narrative that they're spinning that people are doubting LeBron or people were making this. People were having talking point conversations. Like to say, oh, well, it's funny to think Kawhi was the best player on the planet. Yeah, because he won 2 finals with 2 different teams, one of them being Toronto. You see what I'm saying? Like, I understand people saying, well, Giannis is the MVP, but is he the best player in the sport? That's a different conversation that you guys want to have too. I'm down to have that conversation, but you don't want to have it when it's against your narrative, against your story of everybody's against LeBron. Like, no, Giannis was the best player in the NBA. He has the team with the best record. Yeah, he's different. He's flashy. The league is his sooner rather than later. But that doesn't change anything. LeBron is still the guy you would want in a game 7. That doesn't mean the same thing. I don't get this argument that people have. And I guess a lot of it is if you're going to have a Skip Bayless, you need the opposite of it. And I think I'd rather have the opposite of people saying we doubt and underrate LeBron more than we do. But I promise you, LeBron James isn't underrated. He's not overrated, but I promise you he is not underrated and he's not being doubted. Everybody knows how great he is. The real question about this series was Anthony Davis. Nobody wants to have that conversation. That's what this was about. LeBron James could be doing what he's doing, and if AD was not showing up, they were not going to win this series. This series strictly came down to nobody can match up with AD on Miami's side. Miami has a lot of nice players. Miami's going to be a great team when Giannis gets there. But no, the Lakers are a matchup problem for the Miami Heat. That's wonderful. That's great. If Anthony Davis doesn't perform, they don't win this finals, as great as LeBron James is. There's nothing wrong with that. This was a story. LeBron James can win the MVP in this finals and deserve it. But they weren't going to win this championship if it wasn't for AD. And AD has answered every single question that I have put up against him and that the rest of the league has. So I am fascinated to see if they can finish this in a sweep. I want to see how that changes the conversation, if it does. Now, like I said earlier, the people on one camp or the other, they're already set in their ways. Funny, just like politics, huh? Just like almost everything in life. I'm willing, though, to say if he wins this series, And if it's a sweep, that is a great thing for the resume. That is a Mount Rushmore accomplishment. So they got to finish it off. They got to finish this Miami Heat team. And they'll try to do it later on this week as the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers play Game 3 of the NBA Finals on Sunday, October 4th, 2020 in the Disney World Resorts at 6:30 p.m. Pre-game show. The Lakers try to take a 3-0 lead. Let me know your thoughts. What have you thought about the NBA Finals? Have they been boring? Have you been excited? What do you think about the future of both these teams? Do the Heat try to go get another superstar for Jimmy Butler? Is Anthony Davis staying with the Lakers? How many more finals does LeBron James have left in that 35-year-old body? On Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. The show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. But that'll do it for us on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Don't forget, you can follow me all over social media. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. And you can be interactive with the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast. We're available on all major platforms, guys. Check us out at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. There you can hear interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag as well, guys, at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. We do live videos there, so check out our sports picks every Thursday as we make our NFL confidence picks. That's youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network and on facebook.com/Mercado Airwaves. Play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves, and be interactive with the network on Twitter. See what we're up to all over the podcast network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.